Okay, again, we're going to start inside of Illustrator, and today we're going to talk mostly fonts, and then we'll start our a little project for our seal, and then we will move on from there. Oh, and the appearance window. Well, we're going to talk a lot about the appearance window today too. So we'll be using appearance too. Okay, everybody ready? You got your font, you installed it, you started Illustrator? Okay. Let's first look at the font, the type tools that we were talking about. That's these ones over here. Again, you have the type tool, area type tool, type along a path, vertical type tool, vertical type tool on a path, and touch type tool. Okay, touch type tool. I'm not really sure what the touch type tool does. I'll have to learn it myself. Kind of new to me. Let's start with the first one. Again, there's two ways of using it. Again, choose the T for type. I'm just going to go click once on the screen. Oh, I didn't do that right. Hold on. Okay, let me do it again. Click once on the screen. You should get the I bar. By default, it's going to give you this Merid or Pro, whatever it is, regular at 12 point. Right here, after you click on the screen, you can then change it. Okay, again, these are common fonts are right here. You click on the fonts. Now, the beauty of using this font here is you can see the little characters as you go along. You can see them. So it should show you a sample of the font over here. Somebody bring their dog? Or that's your phone, isn't it? So you should see your fonts over here. Arial is a nice, Arial Black is a nice big bold font right there, sans serif font. Notice it has an O next to it. The O stands for open type. You notice the TT stands for true type. Okay, so as you're looking through the list, you'll see the different types of fonts. Let's talk about size. Or this one, of course, this is regular only, but you could have different versions of the font from bold, italic, and so on. Here's the size. Let's talk about that for a moment. You'll see it by default, it's 12 point is the most common kind of point size that we use. If you can click and hold the mouse down, you'll notice it goes from 6 point all the way down to 72 point. And why is 72 point the last one? Well, 72 point is a magic number. 72 point is where your font equals 1 inch. 1 inch. Now you can go above 72 point. You don't have to be stuck with that. You can go and type in, hey, I can type in 120. Type in any point size you want. Can we measure in pixels? Yeah, I believe you can change it from points to pixels and so on, especially if you're trying to match something else. That you need to go into units and measurements to change that. Let's not do that right now. Let's type in some text. I'm going to type in the word space. Space. Notice, as I type, it's not in a box. It's in a straight line. It's not in a box. See, it keeps going on forever and ever and ever. Remember that? If you click with the font, let your finger up, you just type in your text. Right? When you're done typing in your text, I go back to the selection tool, which is this one right here. The selection tool is the black one, right? The black selection tool. Once you have the selection tool selected, what are some of the things you can do? Well, the first thing you can do is you can scale your font. I know we put in a number right here to scale our font, right? But you can actually go and put your cursor along the edge. If again, I'm using the selection tool, and I can scale my font bigger and smaller. Notice as I scale it bigger and smaller inside of Illustrator, it automatically changes the point size over here. Watch again. As I scale it bigger or smaller, it'll change the point size here. Notice how if you're scaling it, you can squish it too. If you want to scale it so it doesn't scale squishy, you hold down the shift key, right? Shift will keep it in proportion. Nope. Shift. Shift will keep it in proportion. If you don't hold down the Shift key when you're scaling your text, you can get it squishy. If that's a word. Squishy is a word? Squishy is a word, I think. Yeah, squishy is a word. It's in a dictionary. Squishy. Let's try the other way of using the type tool. So deselect that for now. Again, I'm going to go back to the type tool. This time, when I'm using the type tool, instead of just clicking with the mouse, I'm going to click and hold the mouse down, and I'm going to drag. Notice how it makes a box. I'm going to make the font a little smaller this time, a little smaller. Once you have a box of text, if you type, like I was telling before, it'll wrap. Notice how it makes a box of text, and that box of text then, and this is how we're going to make a column, right? We're going to make, next, not this lesson, but the next one, you're going to make columns of text. And the columns of text are going to run from this column to this column. So as you make adjustments here, it'll adjust all the text as it goes along, columns of text. Okay, so usually if you want more than one line, you should use this technique of drawing a box. If you want more than one line. Okay, let's delete that one. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to go back to this one. Sorry, I just wanted to point out the difference. Let's go back to the single line one. Single line one. Notice how it shows you the baseline that it's on. See that? It shows you the baseline it's on. So we're going to bring up some tools to adjust our text. There's a whole bunch of different ways. I mean, Illustrator was made for text. The program was, I mean, I know it's called Illustrator, but really, you know, if you were going to make anything with typography, whew, the greatest program ever made for typography. So there's a lot of ways to adjust your text. First thing I'm going to do is bring up my my options for text. Is located underneath Window, and go down to where it says Type. Type. So again, under Window, Type, you have all these options here. Wow, there's a lot of them. Got character, character styles, glyphs, open type, paragraph, paragraph styles, and tabs. Okay, so the paragraph options aren't necessarily needed for one line. I tend to use the paragraph options when I have columns of text, right? You want to change the hyphenation at the end. The word hyphenation is where the word's kind of big, and so they cut it in half and put a little dash at the end, right? It's called hyphenation, right? So you would do that under things like this. Or if you want to change it so it's justified text, you can do that under paragraph and things like that. But the one I want to show first is the character one. So let's go to character first. So if you click on character, it should bring up the character option here. And if you want to see more options under character, up in the upper corner, you can say show options. So there's even more options. I don't know. This is the way that this is kind of the way that Adobe works, is that they give you a window that has most of the options, but if you want to see even more options, you go to the upper right corner of the window, and there should be one that says even show more options. See that? And boom, they give you even a little bit more down here. So they give you even more options. Did you see how I found that? Okay. More options. So let's see some of these options that we can do with our letters. The first thing you can do is you can change the font. So if you don't like that font, whoosh, look at that. Oh, there we go. Look at that one. So you got, again, a way to change the font. There's my aliens. Okay. There we go. So you could change your font. You can change the type of font. Now I know this is all regular here, but some fonts have bold, italic, and things like that. Again, this is the size of the font right here. You can actually go 1 point at a time and down 1 point at a time.
If you deform a font a certain extent, then would the copyright still be enacted?
If you deform a font, well, you know, we follow the copyright laws, follow something called the layman's term. Layman's term. Okay. And I haven't talked too much copyright in here, but I use the example of Jeff Koons. Who's Jeff Koons? Anybody know Jeff Koons? He's a sculptor. Right? He's a sculptor from the 80s and 90s, very famous sculptor from the 80s and 90s. And back in 1997, I believe it was, or 96, he was sued by a photographer. So there was a photographer in LA. He took a picture of a husband and wife, husband and wife holding some puppies. And in the puppies, that was a really nice photo, a very, nice photo. And he would sell it, the photographer would sell that postcard in souvenir shops in LA. So you could walk into a souvenir shop in LA, and that picture was a postcard, right? You could buy that postcard. I don't know why it was a woman and puppies. I don't know. And then Jeff Koons, he went and he made a sculpture. And he made a sculpture of a husband and wife with a bunch of puppies. And the photographer says to him, "You stole my copyright. That photo was copyrighted." Okay, it was a postcard. And it went to court, and Jeff Koons lost. In fact, Jeff Koons made 7 or 6 of them. No, I think he made like 5. He made 5 of those sculptures, and he sold each one for like, $500,000 or $600,000 or something. And he lost the case, and he had to give the photographer all that money he got for the sculptures. Okay, so 2 different mediums, right? One is a sculpture, one is a photograph. Now, if you go to court, the court uses what they call the layman term. What that means is if a group of people look at one thing and they look at another thing and say, yes, that was made from that, then you violated the copyright. So people that have never seen it before, let's say, your eyes were closed and they say, open your eyes. And you look at one thing and then you look at the other thing and you can say to yourself, yeah, that looks like it was made from that. Then you violated copyright. So fonts, if you change the font and make it look a little different and it still looks like the original, you're still violating.
If he did it where like maybe some of the puppies were falling down or something, could he have made it as parody?
Parody? It depends. Yeah, there's a lot of different copyright rules and copyright laws are very ambiguous, whatever you want to call it. Okay, let's keep going. This is the leading is the letter between the baselines. We don't really use that. This is the kerning between the lines. That's the space between the letters. So if I wanted to adjust the space between between two letters, you use this one. If you want to adjust the space between all the letters, you use this one called tracking. So if you go up, you'll see the space change, and you go down, they get closer together. That's this one. This is all the letters, this one. This is 2 letters, this one. This is the scaling of the font. You can also go like this to scale it. It's a little bit different than that. I don't know why. This is scaling it a little bit different. This scales it wide. This is the baseline shift, this one right here, where you see the little A and the little A. So if I wanted the C and the P to be above the baseline, I could select them with the letter. So select one of the letters and go over here to where it says baseline shift right here and crank it up. There we go. 34. Crank it up. Or maybe crank it down. There we go. There. Some letters going down. Some letters going up. Check that out. Notice how the space kind of got messed up between. If you want, you can put your cursor between the A and the C and use this one right here. I would go down to change the space between them. Look at this. This is called kerning. See how I'm bringing them back so that the spacing is better? Right? Okay, so you should try all these and practice them. See what they do. You even have font rotation. You want the E to be rotated a little bit? You can highlight the E and go over this one. See that? Rotate. Maybe the S is rotated. Again, once you do things like that, you might need to adjust the kerning. Again, this one's called kerning. Nope, no, kerning. You can adjust the colors of each letter individually if you want. If you select it, you can go and choose the color. You can choose the color up here. There we go. Hey. 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 So select each letter and you can change the color. Can you use a gradient in a font? Ooh, gradients are evil and hard. They are. Depending upon if you have the text selected or individual letter selected, it'll make the gradient different. Let's choose a letter. Can I use the gradient right here? Boom. Click on it. Oh, it didn't work? No. It didn't work. No. Gradient. It says gradient, but it didn't work. Ah. Evil. Evil. Okay. Here's how you can do gradient. Let me undo that. Okay. So gradients are hard with letters. They really are. Probably the easiest way to deal with gradients is if you tell it not to be a font anymore. Say, hey, make it an object. So you could take the letters themselves and make them into an object. So instead of it seeing these as letters anymore or fonts, you can use what's called under type. You can say create outlines. Where's create outlines? Create outlines. It's right here. It's under type, create outlines right here. What that does is it converts the letters to objects. But that's not always the best thing you can do, though. But try it. I'm going to undo that, though. I just wanted you to see. It then converts it, and you can see, hey, you got your little anchor points and all that stuff around there. You can convert it to an object. We do that a lot. Okay, we do that a lot. Let me undo that. I didn't really want to do that. Here's another way you can go about it. You can cheat. Cheating can be done by using the appearance window. I said we were going to use something called the appearance window. The appearance window kind of comes from Photoshop. You know, and inside Photoshop, you have the ability to do certain things. Okay, you can do certain things. In the appearance window, you can do things like add a new fill. A new fill. So right here is an option code. So I opened up appearance and I clicked on new fill right here. It added a new fill to my font. And it's basically what the appearance window has done is it has taken and put a color over top of the letters. You can think of it as almost another layer on top of the letters. Okay, so what the appearance window does is it's like another layer on top of whatever object you have. In fact, you can have more than one fill. I can have 4 or 5 fills on top of one object using the appearance window. So think of the appearance window as taking a color or an object and putting it over top of something. So right now I couldn't give my letters a gradient, right? It wouldn't let me put the letters in gradient. But what I can do is I can take a color and put it over top of my letters. Then I can give those that color over top of a gradient. So I can now, since I put a color, notice it says fill right here, I put a fill color like over top of my characters. Now I can go and give it a gradient. And notice how now, so what I'm doing is I clicked on the gradient. Remember this is gradient right here. This is the gradient option right here, right? So what I've done is I put the gradient on top of a color that's over top of the letters. So it's a cheating way of doing it. It's a way of faking it. So again, the appearance window, we really haven't used it a lot. The appearance window is a very useful tool. It's a way of taking, think of it as a layer on top. Okay. Same with a stroke. You'll notice it says no stroke. Now I can actually put a line around my font there. I can give myself a nice red stroke over top of my thing. Ooh, look at that. You can change the point size. There we go. Hey, there we go. Space. Okay. The appearance window is very useful. We'll be using it a lot more, especially with the textures. You know, I think we didn't really look at it too much when we were doing the fruit, but this is one way that you can adjust the options in there. In fact, let's say we wanted to make this a little bit even crazier than what it is, and let's put some squiggly lines around my space text. How can I put squiggly lines around my space text? Well, I can go over here to the effects window, or there's an effects window actually in the appearance window. Right? There's an effects window here, and then if you look in the appearance window, you'll see there's a little FX towards the bottom. Do you see that? If you click on the little FX towards the bottom, I'm going to go down to the one that says, what's one? I like the squiggly lines. They're under style. No, yeah, Scribble. Under Stylize, I'm going to go to Scribble. 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 And hit the preview button, and you'll see what it does. Oh, you can turn it down. Ooh, not too much. I don't know what happened there. There, that looks good. I don't know, there's variation. Whoosh. Maybe a little less. There we go. And hit OK. Look what it did to the edge of my letter. Okay. Scribble. So again, in the appearance window, it allowed me to apply a gradient, right? And then I added a stroke. Then right here is called FX, right here. And I went on and I tried the one called Scribble. Scribble was located under Style, I think Stylized, was it? It was under Stylized Scribble is the one I used. Scribble. In addition, as you're using these inside of the appearance window, notice they show up in the appearance window. So if you don't want the scribble anymore, look, there's a little eyeball right there. See a little eyeball? Turn off the eyeball. Ah, no more scribble. Turn on the eyeball, turn it off the eyeball. Turn on the eyeball, turn it off. If you want to adjust the scribble, click on the word scribble and it goes back to the settings. Now I don't know what all the settings do. You would have to go and try them. You would have to go and try them. The advantage of not converting it to an object, remember I used the create outlines to convert it to an object, and hey, that was great. Once you convert the fonts to an object, you can do whatever you can do to an object, you can do. But the downfall of doing create outlines and making an object is you can't retype the text. But this is still fonts. This is still font. I can come over here with my text tool. I didn't like the word space. Oh, horrible. Let's retype it. Life. Now, of course, it's taken on the characteristics of the first letter, but look, I can retype it, and it still has the gradient. Watch. Boom, it still has the gradient. Okay, so there's an advantage of keeping it in a font format, using the fill option to add the gradient, and doing things like I just showed you, is that if you keep it a font, you can change it later. And we can change the size. It's much better to change it as a font than an object. You can do things and adjust them. Whoosh, oh, that doesn't look very good. Ooh. Well, I think it's the leading the kerning's what's killing me now. Kerning. If you want to adjust the gradient, you can use your gradient adjustment tool. Again, you have your gradient adjustment tool right here. This one is called the gradient tool, whatever this is right here. Gradient tool right there. Again, I can use that to adjust. Oh, wait. Oh, I guess no, I can't adjust. Gradient. You might need to click there first. Yeah, you might need to click here on the fill here before you can adjust the gradient. That's what I had to do. There we go. All right. And then, of course, adjust your gradient here if you would like. Isn't that fun? No? Yes? Is it cool? I think this is the greatest thing about this program is all the great things you can do with letters and type. And all the fabulous things. I mean, there's a lot of little things you can do with the letters and stuff, and we'll talk about making them 3D and rotating them and stuff like that. But no, I didn't do, I kind of basically just did letters today. We really didn't get into making our NASA seal, but maybe next class you should come in. Again, go to NASA's website. NASA.gov. They have all kinds of great things on there. They got missions, Kepler. Look at that. Let's see. Where's that? We have mission seals here. Maybe we search mission seals, huh? Mission logo, maybe. I know. Here we go. There's one. Look at that one. I don't know about the purple and yellow, but oh, look at this one. That looks more Photoshop-y. Yeah, I don't like that. There we go. Nice. So I know I didn't get to talk too much about making this. We'll make one of these next class. We'll learn how to make it go on a path. All I want you to get out of today, of course, is all the different things you can do to your letters. You guys are going to have, there's so many things. I could probably spend a whole semester just showing you the font stuff in here. Okay, you're going to have to go and find it, a lot of it yourself.